Energy nose boat's been sanded up with 1500 grit, so that's it's ready to start polishing out now. But before I polished it, I wanted to make the template for the inflatable bladder, and I've got my bit of copper pipe, and the bike valve's been gooped in there. I used a pipe cutter to cut it off the end, so that tends to squash the copper pipe in a bit, gives it a bit of curling, so it will stop the valve coming out when there's some pressure in there. Not that I want to use a lot of pressure. So what I need to do is decide how far back in this bladder is going to come, so that when the pipe's there, oh look, I probably cut my pipe off about there. Hopefully it's quite a long one, so I'll be able to do several different types of moulds with it, and then make longer ones for the fuselages. And I'm going to hold the bag in with a bit of masking tape, so that's going to fit in about there somewhere. So really my bladder doesn't need to come any farther than there, really, so I'll get about half the masking tape on. Okay. So if I make it to there. Right, I've lined the mould with masking tape, just several layers, so as it's all covered. Lots of ways of doing this. You can use tin foil, swap the tin foil in, crease the edge, and then flatten it out, and that gives you a nice pattern. But I'm trying the masking tape method this time. I just got to see if I can peel it all off. Oh dear, not sure if it's going to work. Yeah, I needed more masking tape in there. Just be super careful. That was rubbish. Then take two tin foil. About right. Cut it out. thought where that comes into the bladder, that's got to be, don't want it too big there, that's gonna nearly wrap right round. I've got to make that a bit smaller there. Okay, see how that goes. Can also use that for the pattern for my fabric, although no, I think I'll cut another one and make it just slightly bigger to allow for the seam. Well, about 3 hours of playing with bits of plastic and a soldering iron. Made about 8 or 9 bladders. Can't get the bloody things to hold air. This is the best I've managed so far. But I've still got a very slight leak in it when I squeeze it, so yeah, there it goes, going down. So that one's not going to hold air either. It's not as easy as it looks. What a fiddle. Could have laid up a part easily by now, maybe 2. I'm going to have to try thinner plastic. That's the only thing I can think of now. This stuff is fairly thick. It welds together nicely, but doesn't pull apart after I've gone round it with the iron. Yeah, maybe some thinner plastic will melt better. Oh, another hour, gone through a few more attempts, but finally getting there. I'm starting to get a feel for what I'm doing. And let's have a look if you can see that. Now that's what it's meant to look like. That's a really nice join there. It's nice and clean, and it just pulled away easily. There was no the off-cut bit just pulled away. It melted it right through. Because if you look on the other side, this is like a pretty crappy one. So what it is, I'm not getting enough temperature down. So I'm using a 75 watt iron. And I've gone back to the material I was using to begin with after going through lots of other stuff. And what it is, I've shaped my soldering tip so it's nice and wide, and it's got a curved crescent like on this axe. The edges are curled off, and it's a nice curl on the top, so that I can put it down against the template, get a bit of pressure on it and just slowly drag it along and keep that pressure applied, and it's not too critical on the angle, so I can move it around a bit and not have to get it completely exact. And that then seems to produce that nice join like that. So we're making some progress. Not a lot I can advise you on really. You've got to experiment with your own materials and your iron shape and the temperature, and you've got to go through what I've done really and just start getting a feel for it.